Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us today for this exciting event, Driving Autonomous Pipeline with Piper Email. I'm Claire Evan, Director of Product Marketing here at Qualified. We launched Piper Email into the wild just a few months ago, and the reaction from our customers was massive. And so if you've heard about Piper Email, if you're curious about Piper Email, you've come to the right place. Here's a quick look at our agenda today. We're hosting this event to connect with all of you, to walk you through an overview of Piper Email, give you 5 key use cases that our customers are using to drive autonomous pipelines today, show you the product live in action, a little bit more behind the gear, and have you hear from a customer that's using Piper Email right now. So if you have questions, feel free to pop them in the chat. Our team is standing by to answer. So I'm joined today by 2 incredible speakers. Levi Wartz, he's the Senior AI Marketing Strategist at SUSE, who will share his experience with Piper Email and give us some best practices. And Katie O'Neill, who's the Director of Customer Strategy here at Qualified. She's going to walk us through 2 use cases of Piper Email right inside of the product. But just to level set, for the last 8 years at Qualified, we've been laser focused on pipeline generation and solving challenges for our customers. We know that everything marketers do is designed to drive interested buyers to the B2B website. There's a myriad, channels by which they do this through paid ads, SEO, customer referrals, review sites, email campaigns, events, etc. And when those buyers want to learn more, they usually submit a web form with their contact information. And those leads are then added to a queue for human SDRs to engage and qualify and try to convert for the sales team. This is really what we call the traditional marketing funnel. And we followed this workflow for 15 plus years. And there's really 2 primary channels that human SDRs use to work marketing generated leads today. There's live chat on the website and there's email. But there's difficulties with each of these channels. For live chat, instant response is difficult, right? SDRs have to be available around the clock. They have to catch every conversation. They have to have the right answers at the ready. And SDRs have to be able to do this with every single website visitor simultaneously. It's a nearly impossible task. And email has its challenges too, as instant response is literally impossible. There are numerous steps before the lead even gets to the SDR, sometimes for follow-up. But meanwhile, the clock is ticking. And on average, it can take 6 hours for a lead to get a response. So this traditional marketing funnel, it's really fraught with challenges, and it leaves pipeline on the table. SDRs are expensive, and the more leads you have, the more SDRs you need to work those leads. The SDRs can only work so many leads each month, so they prioritize the hottest leads over all the others. They're limited with how quickly they're able to respond to each inbound lead. SDRs are also only given about 4 months of onboarding, and then they're expected to deliver these high quality responses while balancing speed. It's an impossible task, and the result is often missed quota. The best SDRs also get promoted while others move on to other roles. So how can SDR teams be expected to succeed when they're faced with all of these challenges? And so the question we've been asking ourselves at Qualified is, what if pipeline generation was fully automated and AI was doing the work? And we really see the answer as the new AI marketing funnel. This traditional marketing funnel, it's what we've been doing for the last 15 years, but now with AI, change is actually happening. And the new AI marketing funnel finally puts marketers back in the driver's seat. You have total control over your entire marketing funnel and full accountability to drive marketing generated pipeline with an AI SDR really at the center of that workflow. So this is the dream for marketers, to be able to maximize their efforts and generate more pipeline. And Piper, the AI SDR, really makes all of this possible. And for our customers, you're probably familiar with how Piper, we built her to profile every website visitor, work towards conversion goals. She knows everything about the visitor, their intent, deal history, the account. She can engage visitors on the website in real-time conversations. She can quickly get sales meetings on the books. She can also surface content that's perfectly suited for each visitor to capture more leads. But now what's really exciting is our latest innovation is Piper can work in this other valuable channel, which is email. She can send fast, personalized email follow-up and nurture leads 24/7. She can follow up with every inbound lead intelligently. And what makes her unique is that Piper's the only AI SDR on the market who can operate across all inbound channels. So she works the website, she works the inbox, and it's the same AI SDR that can power this entire process holistically. So she can deliver this totally seamless experience. And she's built on our platform. So she has all these extensive capabilities that are purpose-built for sales and marketing pipeline generation. Now, we have these 5 key use cases for Piper Email that we're starting to see our customers take advantage of with Piper Email. So the first, you can use Piper to help follow up on leads that fill out a contact sales form or leads that have signed up for a free trial. She can follow up with event leads, which is a really exciting use case. She can also follow up on leads that have downloaded and signed up for content and follow up on the inbox there. And then finally, she can also profile high intent visitors. And when they leave the site, reach out again and bring them back to the website. So now what I'd like to do is take you a little bit behind the gear to show you how to set up and drive 2 of these use cases with Piper Email, event follow-up, and high intent buyer. So I'm going to bring up Katie O'Neill, our Director of Customer Strategy, to take us through our first use case demo. Katie, take it away.
All right. Thank you, Claire. So we're going to dive into the demo today. We're going to showcase 2 different scenarios, so 2 different email campaigns. One will be focused on leads that were attending an event or had registered for an event. And the second will be focused on leads that are showing high intent. So think about folks, maybe they're on a pricing page or another high intent page, and we want to follow up with them. How do we tell Piper to do that? So to start, we're going to go ahead and jump into our event follow-up campaign. Now, to start any campaign, what you'll do first is identify the trigger event. So what is the definition of someone that should be included in this campaign? For today's purpose, we are focusing on actually this event that you all are attending right now, Driving Autonomous Pipeline with Piper Email. We've identified the folks that have registered for this event as a campaign member in Salesforce. Now we're looking at the status of responded. So here you guys can identify different campaigns to pull in and statuses that are aligned to each of the prospects that you want to pull into the campaign. Now below the audience or trigger criteria is additional audience targeting. There's going to be scenarios where folks match that trigger event, but you don't want to send the emails to everyone. You don't want Piper reaching out to folks for certain reasons. For us specifically here at Qualified, we've actually avoided sending Piper emails to folks that are our current customers and that are also in pipeline. So you can see that here. I'm identifying that through the account object in Salesforce and looking at our field, the account type, and then excluding anyone that is identified, again, as a current customer or within pipeline. Now, what you can see here as I click this drop down, you can also exclude or include or leverage different fields or segments within Qualified. And then, of course, looking at different objects in Salesforce, like the lead or contact or account. And of course, looking at different marketing automation platform fields as well. Now, once we've identified the group of folks that we want to target for these emails, you will identify the sender of these emails. So what you could do is this, ability to select a specific person. This could be, let's take, for example, maybe a sales leader, someone that you want every email coming from. If you don't want to do that, what you can do is actually identify Salesforce ownership. So this is allowing Piper to remain pretty dynamic, looking inside Salesforce immediately, pulling in either the contact or the lead owner, and then sending those emails on behalf of those sales reps there. So great options either for a specific rep or for a Salesforce owner. Next up, if you have multiple Piper profiles, you'll want to identify which profile is sending out these emails. And of course, provide an unsubscribe footer for folks that really want to just unsubscribe from these emails altogether. The goals, this is very important for Piper emails. Piper always needs to have goals. She's part of your sales team, right? We want to make sure she's moving the business forward. So within her emails, what you will do is identify different meeting types that you would like her to include as she's providing different scheduling links. So in this case, I want her to be booking demos. Maybe you have different scenarios where you want to be booking discovery meetings or different types of meetings. You can identify those different meeting types for Piper there. Down here under the duration, this is how you're selecting how long you want these campaigns to run for. So either selecting the campaign to run indefinitely, or maybe you have specific date ranges that you want this campaign to run for within that section. And then finally, exit criteria. This is what will move a lead out of the email campaign. So there's 3 standard pieces of criteria. First being if a response was received. So Piper sent out the email. We got a response back from the prospect. We will remove them from the email campaign moving forward. Second piece of criteria is if a meeting was booked. So great, Piper achieved her goal. She got that meeting on the calendar. We'll go ahead and remove them from her email campaign moving forward. And then finally here, if someone had clicked that unsubscribe link, we will remove them from the email campaign. In addition to, if you want any custom exit criteria, you can either identify certain fields from either the lead or contact objects. So in this case, if that field had been updated with a certain value, we can identify that in qualified and then remove that prospect from the campaign. So now that we've got our email campaign set up, let's jump over into the simulator. Now, this is the super fun part, and this is where gone are the days of email templates, sequences, journey builders. No longer do you need someone on your team to go through and update copy, make sure the content is up to date, it's on brand. Piper is doing all of that heavy lifting for you. So I'm going to walk you through how we can actually get Piper to say the things that you want within these email campaigns. Over here on the right-hand side is the campaign context. So first is the purpose of this campaign. Now, in this case, for the event that everyone is on today, what we are doing is we're telling Piper to target these leads because they've attended this event. We want to tell her what these leads have done or really what action they've taken and what they listen to. So on the event, we showcase why Piper, the AI SDR, is the world's most advanced AI agent, and then provide her some content. So, hey, Piper, if they want to rewatch any segments or if you want to share the event or if they want to share it with coworkers, provide a link here. So you're letting her know different pieces of content that you want her to share within the email. And then, of course, with the purpose of the campaign, we're telling Piper, maybe why these folks should be getting emails. So in this case, we want to see if they had any questions or if they're interested in booking a meeting and learning a little bit more about Piper. So giving her some of those goals and additional context around what those goals might be. Now, next up down here is background information. So this is just additional information that might be helpful for Piper, that might be relevant to either the campaign or the prospects or the content that's being provided in the email. So in this case, we're giving Piper, some rules of engagement. If she's referring to Piper, use she or her pronouns instead of it. And then again, giving her some of that background information from the campaign. So during the event, this is what the prospects saw. This is what we showcase and some of the product that they were able to see. And then we want to give her a little background around our product. So Piper, who's the AI SDR for Qualified, is changing the way that folks generate pipelines. We want her to include that messaging. This is what's on brand for Qualified. So we want to tell Piper that, so she's including it within her emails. Now down here at the bottom, again, these are some additional rules of engagement and just further color that we want Piper to include in her emails. Now, once we're in a good spot with all of the context that we've given her, I will let Piper know how persistent she should be. So in terms of her follow-ups, how often do I want her to do that? Now, maybe I want to say, hey, Piper, be persistent, but not too pushy. I might adjust her levels to moderate. You could do low or high. This is really dependent on your business needs and what you would like her to leverage from a follow-up perspective. Down here under fields, we all know personalization drives a lot of engagement. So when we can pull in different fields that we already have access to from Salesforce or other systems, we can tell Piper to use them, and we can actually give her rules of engagement around how to use them. So in this case, I'm pulling in the name, industry, company, and level of seniority, and I'm actually giving her rules of engagement around how to use those different fields. So in this case, for industry, I'm telling Piper to reference other points of interest or customers related to the visitor's industry. And if possible, reference and link out specific relevant case studies. So again, giving her some of those guardrails around how to use this information so that, again, it's on brand and you feel really comfortable with the way she's referencing that data point. So now in the email simulator, this is the fun part where you can actually start to build your confidence around how Piper is sending out these emails. Here in the middle, you can select different leads from your system, and then you can start to see how she's generating these emails. So here, because this person was added to a campaign, she can then reference, hi, Jen, I hope you enjoyed our Driving Autonomous Pipeline with Piper email event, referencing what we had showcased, part of that campaign. What did we give her in that context on the right-hand side? This link. So if you remember in the context, we had told Piper to include a link if folks want to rewatch a segment. So she referenced, if you'd like to revisit any parts or share with your team, here's a link on demand. And then, of course, the Piper scheduling assistant, she's always going to provide that meeting link to make sure that folks can book time. And again, we'll reference your existing routing rules. We'll look at Salesforce or any of the ownership that you've identified already and qualified. Now, the really cool part about Piper is because she's connected both on the website and in email, she's working harmoniously across those channels so she can actually understand exact behavior of the buyers in that moment. So instead of going off of these very static, email templates or different journey builders, Piper's acting in real time and she's acting off of the data that she has in that moment. So in this case, you can see at the very bottom, choose a scenario. This is where you're understanding how would Piper respond to these prospects based on different actions that they had taken. So maybe they didn't reply, but what if their account was surging? This is our buyer intent product called Signals, which indicates the account was surging based on a variety of activity on the website. It could have been multiple contacts from that account had visited. Maybe they downloaded content, booked a meeting. Piper will reference all of that information and all of the action that they had taken in her next email. So, hi, Jen. I noticed some of your colleagues have been showing interest in Qualified, and I wanted to check in. So referencing that and creating these emails so they're really bespoke for each individual buyer. No two emails are the same. Every email is unique. And it's because Piper has access to all of this really rich insight and she's acting in real time to make these really dynamic and personalized to each buyer. So that is the event follow-up use case. Let's jump over into the high intent visitor use case. And we'll walk through again the campaign setup and then we'll jump into the simulator to understand some context we're going to give Piper. So in this case, our trigger event here is going to be a little different. We're not going to leverage that data within Salesforce. We're actually, again, leveraging Piper's ability to view website activity. What were they doing on the site? What pages were they viewing? How long were they there? So in this case, I've identified our pricing page as a really high intent page. If someone was there on the website and was on the pricing page and we want to follow up with them, we want to make sure that Piper's doing it in the right way. And again, she's targeting the right audiences. So below our trigger event, we're going to do the same thing. Maybe we adjust this, here and there, depending on different event criteria. But what I'm doing is removing current customers and folks within our pipeline for this campaign. And then I've gone through and done the exact same process that we just walked through. So identifying the sender, which profile I want her to use, the unsubscribe footer, what type of meeting I want her booking, how long I want the campaign to run for, and then that exit criteria. So as I jump into the simulator, this is where you're going to see the difference between different types of context that you're giving Piper for different email campaigns. So in the last one, we had some really rich content in the event that everyone is here today. We want to make sure that Piper had all that information. For folks on the pricing page, it might be a little bit more generic for her, more basic in terms of the level of detail that you're giving her. So for this purpose of the campaign, I'm letting Piper know that these leads visited our pricing page, which we identify as a high intent page here at Qualified. They left the website without converting, so giving her information in terms of what they did. And then they might have a wide range of questions, or they might be interested in booking a meeting. So again, just giving her that purpose and what we want her to be doing. Finally, some additional background information to just give her more relevant details. We should be helping them set up some time to meet, and the email should be focused on helping them book that meeting. So number one goal here is very clearly for Piper to book that meeting. Again, you can adjust how often she's following up here. You can add levels of personalization. So maybe in some cases for different campaigns, you want to pull in different fields. Maybe for a high intent visitor, you would maybe want to pull in maybe something like the UTM source. How did they get to the pricing page? Did they click through a LinkedIn ad? Were they on Google? How did they arrive there? You could add in that field here to just drive that additional level of personalization. And again, connect with the buyer with where they're at. How did they arrive on the site? And how can we engage with them? So next up, I'll go ahead and just click a different lead. So here we're going to do Terry from Abbott. So what Piper's doing is, again, looking at all of the context we've given her within the campaign. She's looking at the fields that we've given her to reference for personalization. And in real time, you're watching this right now, she is generating this email. And again, I mentioned this before, but every email is completely unique. So the email you saw previously for the event follow-up, of course, is different because of the campaign. But even within each campaign, Piper's generating unique emails for all the different leads she's targeting because all of them are different. All of them have different needs and pain points and data points you're pulling in. So we can see here she's referencing things like the name, what they did. So they viewed the page. I saw you're checking out our pricing page recently. And then again, providing that link to book the meeting. And then again, you can continue to walk through different scenarios. So maybe they didn't reply. We can see how Piper then would follow up with these folks to ensure that she's always driving for that conversion. So this is super cool and exciting. The simulator really is a great way to experience how Piper is emailing these folks. And as you build your confidence, start sending out different emails to different audience segments. And then you can grow this over time and start building out many more different scenarios for those email campaigns. So Claire, I'm going to pass it back over to you, but I'm super excited for all of our customers to go live with Piper Email.
Wow, Katie, that was awesome. Thanks for walking us through those 2 use cases with Piper Email. Now that we've seen the product in action, let's chat with a qualified customer who's been using Piper Email for the last few months. I want to introduce Levi Wartz. He's the senior AI marketing strategist from SUSE. Welcome, Levi. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, of course. Can you just first off just introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about SUSE?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as you mentioned, I'm the AI marketing strategist for SUSE. So that's kind of a combination of this like long-term vision for what we want to do with AI, kind of mixed with focused execution. So not only am I kind of thinking to the future, but I'm also helping execute on that vision, which is really just designed to align marketing and sales so we can create exceptional experiences for our customers, partners, and employees. And to talk about SUSE a little bit, SUSE is a global leader in enterprise open source solutions, guided by a vision of an open future providing choice. So what that means is SUSE leverages open source technology to empower businesses with enterprise grade solutions to bring the infinite potential of open source to the enterprise through Linux, cloud native, edge, and AI.
Awesome. I love your role. I think it's so cool and such a good use of, taking AI, not just the strategy, but then actually putting it into practice at SUSE. So you're perfect for this combo. First off, I just love to get your take on this, AI marketing funnel. Are you feeling the same shift that we are at Qualified? Like, do you feel like AI is going to unlock more and more opportunities for marketers just to have more control over their funnel? What's your POV on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the shift is palpable. We're entering a whole new phase, right? We're in the discovery phase. Now we're in the operationalization phase where we're taking AI and actually applying it. So that traditional funnel that kind of forced marketers to cast this wide net and then rely on the rest of the funnel to find the opportunities is kind of over, right? We don't need to do that anymore. So the AI marketing funnel allows us 2 new approaches that we previously didn't have the bandwidth to accomplish. And I think the first is more of a transitional benefit and how AI can now more rapidly identify and engage with potential opportunities that already exist in our traditional marketing funnel. So what that gives us is more accuracy on and more speed to those opportunities. So we use all of our business intelligence that we have today and apply it to the scale of AI. And then the second is really the future of the marketing funnel, which is speed to leads, speed to opportunity, speed to revenue. The way I like to think about it is like the true superpower of AI is it allows humans to hyper focus on relationship building. And, this is the true focus of any successful organization. All of these tools, all of these different things that we're applying are simply to get us closer to the relationship that we want to build with our customers or partners. And we've really been shifting in this direction for decades. The digital storefront, right? Our website, replacing the physical storefront, email replacing paper mail, automation removing manual tasks, and now AI, which has the potential to combine all of these elements and deliver and more of a way to deliver a new way of working, a new way of experiencing different organizations.
Yeah, that's really how we see it as AI just disrupting, these processes that we've had for a long time as marketers that were, set up around humans or set up around these systems and processes. And now there's this whole new world that's opening up and, unlocking all this efficiency and all these opportunities. It's a great segue into Piper Email. So you've been a longtime customer of Qualified, SUSE has, and you've been a great champion for us. What was it about Piper Email that made you lean in and take the leap? And why did you want to hire Piper for the inbox as a channel?
Yeah, I mean, just taking a quick step back, first off, I'm a major fan of the work that Qualified does. As I mentioned before, successful organizations build relationships. So there is a reason why SUSE has been a long time customer of Qualified. Just always been a pleasure to work with the whole team over at Qualified. It's always been great. Um, that being said, just to kind of build the foundation first, we have three pillars in for AI and marketing at SUSE, which is engagement, content, and data. Um, Piper Email was really the first solution that checked the box when it came to the engagement pillar, truly like automating this interacting with prospects and customers in a way that scaled but was like hyper personalized. So um, that was the first kind of aha moment for us when we saw it in action. And I of course got to see a little bit more behind the scenes as it was being developed and see where it was going. So this helped me build that long-term vision I had talked about. And then, based on that initial concept, the potential for the technology is massive. It solves a major problem that we have had strategically, which has been on our radar for at least a year. And that's simply filtering through large amounts of inquiries to find opportunities. And of course we have SDRs. We call them MDRs or ISRs, depending on their role. But the MDRs have been tasked with this work. But we just simply don't have enough people to handle the volume. It can be quite a lot. So we went live with the trusted tester in December, and have been working very closely with the team and really honing in what we're trying to accomplish with it.
Yeah. And even just since December, it's been really cool to see just how quickly you and some of our other customers have started to really like harness this technology. And yeah, to your point, solve this problem of just, SCR capacity and scale, and, all these speed to lead, all these challenges that our customers were kind of coming to us and wanting to solve. Can you share just a little bit about your current use case with Piper Email and then, the impact that you've started to see so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I mentioned, we have a lot of inquiries. We're international company. We work with 60% of Fortune 500s, and then it goes downstream from there. But because we're open source, it means we have a large volume of visitors, and some of them, a pretty decent chunk of them, will never do business with us, which is totally fine. For example, teachers and students frequent our website, download our content, watch our webinars purely for the informational benefits. And this may be a little more unique to us, this like experience, right? Because we have so many solutions and products. And it's also open source. So many people can be using it and engaging with it. You'd have to, imagine finding that opportunity in a sea of leads is very difficult. So engaging the right leads in a timely manner is also extremely difficult for us. What Piper allows us to do is twofold. First, we can trigger Piper to run a campaign the moment a field changes value in Salesforce, ensuring that leads can enter the campaign as soon as the update hits our system. Second, we can apply a comprehensive audience targeting that filters out the visitors that are not interested in doing business and allows us to hyper focus on the pool of inquiries where opportunities may exist. So again, like one very obvious thing is we can look at if they have student or teacher as their job title or description, right? We can simply just exclude them from the campaign always. We don't need to engage with them. We're happy to provide that content and that value, but we're not going to do business with them. So we don't need to focus on them for that particular use case. Next, critical component is the ability to personalize each email and subsequent follow-up with each lead. So this is like the magic bullet, right? The thing we have never been able to do is to scale hyper-personalization. And that's changed completely because of Piper Email. So the way I like to think of it is like, imagine the perfect SDR that looks at all the fields in Salesforce, crafts a personalized email in reference to like their last touch campaign, what their membership might be in Salesforce campaign, their persona, and a variety of other components. Gone are the days of the template email where you just pull in their name, their job title. Now we have the ability to communicate on demand at scale with precision, with precise personalization. And what we found in a short time with a focus group of leads is that we've tested Piper on is that the leads are much more likely to reply to emails, which of course, right, and that engagement pillar is a critical component. We want the engagement. We want to have the relationship to start the conversation. And in one case, one person even qualified themselves in the reply. So for the MDR, that's fantastic, right? It's easy for them to move to the next step with the lead and start that relationship building. And I would say probably our best result came from a lead that was a net new inquiry. It was in our funnel for about 2 days before Piper engaged with this particular lead and booked a meeting on the first email. So it historically takes us about 60 days to convert an inquiry into a meeting. I should say that part particularly. So there are usually many steps involved. But this is a perfect example using Piper email of speed to lead. And I should mention that it was a really good lead that was handed off to an account executive to move forward with.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, so yeah, really utilizing Piper in that classic way of you started, small with obviously you have such a high volume of inquiries and leads that are coming through and it's separating out, the noise, the qualified from the unqualified, and then setting Piper onto those qualified leads. And yeah, to no fault of like an SDR zone, they can't have all of that knowledge that AI can, but she's able to know all of the context from the data and be able to, really solve that problem of speed to lead for you, that's incredible that it's normally like 60 days. And this was like a 2-day, there's no back and forth with, a human SDR, no wait time. She just responds and has that level of personalization. That's the dream. So any lessons learned for just folks on this call that are interested, from implementing Piper email and starting on this journey? I think you as an AI marketing strategist have so much knowledge here. Like this is a whole new way to approach inbound with this autonomous pipeline generation is what we're calling it. And you're really on the front lines of this disruption. So what's your advice, I guess?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think this is going to be a big surprise ever, but data is super important, right? The right data is going to make or break any AI deployment, but particularly, especially one where you want to personalize based off what's in your CRM, what's in your Salesforce field. So making sure that you have, data excellence kind of installed or you're working towards it is going to help you significantly moving forward. And this doesn't matter the size or scope of your company. If you're just getting started to a well-established 30-plus year enterprise company, it matters all the time. So, doing this will pay major dividends in the future. And I think, some other things to consider. One of the major superpowers of Piper is the ability to personalize based on Salesforce fields. I think I mentioned that earlier, but the ability to guide Piper on how she would personalize an email is incredibly powerful. It's really the first time I've ever seen this in action, and I was hooked the second I got to mess around with it. But for example, you can reference the description of your last touch campaign with the lead that the lead just interacted with. So now imagine every single email that's sent to a lead is perfectly aligned and perfectly relevant with the last thing they just did, which could have just been minutes ago, right? They could have just registered for a webinar, attended a webinar, downloaded content, looked at a pricing page, and filled out details potentially. And all of that then gets hyper-focused and delivered right to them through Piper. And so saying that, right? Yes, those prompting skills everyone was telling you to develop still apply here. Prompting is a component of this. And you are really the expert training the up and coming star for your organization. But that being said, that does not mean that you can't use AI to build your AI prompts, which we actually did when we were using a persona field. We have like 10 personas. We went to AI, said, hey, give us a 1-sentence prompt or 2-sentence prompt for each of these personas, gave it to Piper, and the results have been absolutely like stunning and amazing. So it's not like all of this stuff takes, insane amounts of time to do. We have all these new tools. We can use them all to still accomplish what we're looking for, what we want to create with this. So, and yeah, and with that being said, please don't ask your QSA for the top 100 prompts to use. Just go to those LLMs. They'll gladly deliver that information to you. And finally, I would say the last part would be, if you're going to implement any AI, but particularly Piper, make it a cross-functional project. Bring in your data team, your sales team, your marketers, and apply all that knowledge to setting up Piper, because ultimately that's what's going to make it extremely successful.
Yeah, I love the concept of using AI to help train AI. It's a perfect use case. Awesome. Well, I'll just close out with this last question is, what's next for SUSE and for Piper? Like, what are you most excited about in the future?
Yeah. So we're still, working through some really interesting campaigns, exploring various use cases, but I'm really excited about I'm really excited to put the Salesforce ownership routing to the test. So just to explain, what that means is Piper emails on behalf of the lead owner that's in Salesforce, so we can scale one campaign to meet the needs of many reps. This is a critical component to everything we're trying to build. But the way we've looked at this is, I had mentioned we have MDRs and ISRs. Our plan is to equip our ISRs, which they mostly work like target accounts. And we want to give them the ability to essentially just change a substatus that triggers Piper and adds that individual into the campaign to start being engaged with. So it's kind of co-pilot-y, but at the same time, very autonomous, right? The reps get to choose which leads they want to work. So we have this fully automated inbound functionality, but then we have this inbound/outbound kind of component where the ISRs are fully in charge. And I think that's really interesting, and I'm excited to see the results that we get from Piper when we apply it to our best leads.
That's awesome. So exciting. Well, Levi, thank you so much for just taking the time today, sharing your story so far with Piper Email and with your strategy that you're laying out at SUSE. It's been so fascinating. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for joining us for Driving Autonomous Pipeline with Piper Email. You saw an overview of Piper Email, how you can put her to work in the inbox with 5 key use cases, and how customers are using her today. Have more questions about Piper Email and want to learn even more? Join our Qualified team for an exclusive customer workshop series where we'll show you how we're operationalizing Piper Email here at Qualified. If we weren't able to get to your question today, our team will share with your Qualified Success Architect to follow up. Thanks again for joining, and we'll see you next time.